Welcome back to the Subnautica Ultimate Challenge, where I attempt to beat Subnautica while following a set of rules and restrictions designed to make the game just unfairly difficult. This is part 2. When we last left off, I had nearly gotten myself killed establishing a base near LifePod 19. This base was pretty deep, and not much sunlight was getting through to our solar panel. So after building a couple basic modules, I left the base to charge up and went to explore the area. The LifePod itself was at the bottom of a deep trench, so I built my base on the lip of the trench overlooking it. There was some wreckage nearby that I would explore later, but for now I wanted to use the daylight to explore the trench, as this place gets terrifyingly dark at night. The trench had some great resources, including these gel sacks. In addition to being used in some crafting recipes, gel sacks are particularly useful in this run because they are edible, farmable, and don't spoil over time. That's right, something I could eat besides creepvine samples. I then approached the LifePod and the main reason I came here, the blueprint for the ultra-high capacity oxygen tank. Once I craft this back at my base, it will be an absolute game changer, adding 80 seconds of O2 capacity. As I listened to the final words of the Aurora's captain, I scanned some nearby plants, including the aggressive tiger plant which shoots little spines at you, but I was able to nimbly avoid them all. Ow! Almost all.
Peace, if you're going to contact HQ on the long range, I'm attempting a controlled descent.
The recording of the captain's final message gave me coordinates for a rendezvous point on dry land, almost directly above me. But since I can't get on the island without breaking the surface, I won't be making that rendezvous. Hang on a minute. Let's go back to this frame. There's something very important here you probably didn't notice, because we just passed the smallest creature in Subnautica. You want to guess where it is? It's right here, and it's called a rock grub. So after I finished with this ruby, I made sure to turn around and scan the little guy. I grabbed my first alien egg. I don't have the equipment to hatch it yet, but I might as well get my collection started. Back at the mini base, I realized I had forgotten to deploy a beacon. I really wanted one because I was going to be spending a lot of time here. Back down in the trench, I was pretty proud I was able to scan a bleeder without getting bitten. If you let them, these little leech-like aliens can latch onto you and drain a lot of health. I then discovered a strange-looking alien vent. Scanning it revealed that it was connected to a mysterious pipe network that stretched deep underground. The pipes were carrying water and peepers? We'll figure that one out later. I found and collected some table coral, which was key because I wasn't just here for the scans. You see, I didn't want to build just one base in this area. I wanted 3, and that table coral would let me build fabricators. Night fell as I grabbed a few more scans, and as I headed back, I was really happy I had set up that beacon by my base. You can barely see in front of your face in this darkness. I entered the wreckage near my base, finding some decorative scientific equipment and some blueprints. Through this sealed door, we found another important reason we came here. Blueprints for the reinforced dive suit. Once I'm able to craft this, it will give resistance to heat and cut all incoming damage in half. Not that I ever take damage, right? Diving for resources one last time by the vent, I noticed a peeper leaving a strange glittery trail behind it. The scan says the glow is a unique enzyme that appears to be inhibiting the effects of a bacterial infection. It looked like the peeper came out of the vent. What a strange mystery. I found that the trench connected to another horrifically deep trench full of unnerving pale kelp and an inky blackness below me. It was clear no rational person would enter this eldritch nightmare of a biome unless they absolutely had to. So for the sake of my own sanity, I turned around and got out. I was now ready to travel west and build our second base in this area. Our destination was a gigantic wreck some few hundred meters away. There's no signal or hint for this location, and since LifePod 19 is the closest place with a signal, I think it's fair we visit now. Now it's more or less due west. Ah, there it is. This behemoth rivals the size of the wreck from part 1, but on the inside it's just as claustrophobic as any other. I pick a nice spot and build my base.
Power restored. All primary damage to plant life on the seafloor suggests This may be the migration path of a huge, welcome-aboard landform.
Then I realized it's not quite close enough to the wreck entrances, so I deconstruct it and build in a different spot. Moments of indecision like this make me glad the game gives you all your resources back when deconstructing. There's one thing I want to get done here while it's still light out, so I head even further to the west. Remember that PDA message we just got about a huge bottom-dwelling life form? Well, we are coming way out here to scan our first Leviathan. You can just make them out in the distance. These gentle giants are the sea treader leviathans, and they're mostly harmless. Sea treaders are the smallest leviathan in Subnautica, and they have a couple useful traits. As they walk, they churn up shale outcrops which you can harvest. And we didn't catch it in this run, but they also generate a rather unique type of bioreactor fuel. You stay classy, sea treaders. Time to head back to the mini base. Whoa, what was that? Well, I'm too low on oxygen to check it out. I'm sure it's not important. After a quick stop at my mini base, I began my exploration of the wreck itself. While huge, this wreck is a little more straightforward than the one we explored in part 1. It has 2 sections, both of which consist of a fairly linear sequence of rooms. I get a unique PDA and a bunch of blueprints here, most notably the Cyclops hull and bridge, and the composite plant pot, which I could use to farm terrestrial plants. If I had any. I also check out a nearby cave where I find some deep shrooms, cousins of the acid mushroom that can be used for more advanced crafting. I returned to my base by LifePod 19. There was still one resource I needed to get. That resource is called blood oil, and to get it, well, remember that horrifically deep trench full of inky blackness? It's called the Blood Kelp Trench. It's where joy and hope go to die, and it's where we were headed. Now, as we make our way toward this wretched biome, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I did not find the Blood Kelp Trench at all scary. Sure, it may look like I was barely willing to go in. Like I grabbed the blood oil and whatever resources I could by the edge before panic overtook me and I turned back around. But that decision was not, I repeat, not due to fear, horror, terror, or any other word ending in R. It's just that this way was better. Okay, better does end in R. Can we just move on? Now, I still wanted to build a third mini base in this area, but I had 2 problems. The first was that I was still hungry and couldn't grow food here. I had a couple gel sacks, but couldn't make the exterior grow bed needed to farm them. And I could make a plant pot, but had no terrestrial plant seeds to grow in it. The other problem was that this was not going to be a solar-powered base. I wanted a bioreactor.
Calorie intake recommended.
Yes, thank you for reminding me, PDA. Anyway, to make a bioreactor I needed lubricant, and to make lubricant I needed creepvine seeds. Maybe you can see where this is going. I had to go back all the way to the brain coral we remember from part 1, which sat right next to a kelp forest. I could now completely fill my hunger on creepvine.
Vital signs stabilizing. Seek fluid intake.
This could take a while. Let's skip ahead. Once I was full, no, we're still eating. Can we skip ahead more? Once I was full, oh, come on. Once I was full, I gathered some creepvine seeds and refilled my oxygen. Ow! Oh, you are lucky for Rule 6B, you little son of a... It was time to return south. So I went all the way back to the base by the sea treader wreck, where I knew the solar panel would be full, so I could craft a bunch of what I needed for the third base. I then went all the way back to the sparse reef base to make final preparations. It had been a lot of traveling, but I was finally ready. I did one last check to make sure I had the materials for the multi-purpose room, bioreactor, and hatch I would need for the base. Hatch, quartz and titanium, check. Bioreactor, have all of that, check. And Oh no. I forgot that I still don't have the blueprint for the multi-purpose room. There's one that I could scan on the island right above me, which does not help at all. All I can do now is sadly store the building materials for another time, pack up the important resources that I gathered here, and take the long journey all the way back to Why So Hard. Why so hard indeed.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
I get to work sorting and storing the various resources I brought back, building a few more lockers in the process. We had mixed success at LifePod 19. We got a lot of aquatic seeds, but can't farm them without the blueprint for the exterior grow bed, so we'll just store them away for now. How many times have you struggled to fit your locker label into 10 characters? And let's not forget the main reason I went to LifePod 19, the ultra-high capacity O2 tank. This tank will increase my oxygen supply to over 3.5 minutes, allowing me to travel over 2 kilometers without refilling. In the last video, some commenters pointed out that you can carry an extra oxygen tank in your inventory and swap it in when the first tank runs low, which can be used to travel farther or saved for emergencies. While this is an important tactic for speedruns, I'm not using it here for 2 reasons. For extending your general range, I prefer mini bases because they have other uses, like storage, growing food, or charging batteries. The second reason is that the inventory in this game is tiny. Giving up 6 slots for something you'll only use in emergencies just isn't worth it, especially for an experienced player like me who never makes mistakes. Oh,
ow!
No. I hadn't realized it was nighttime.
Boy, was I
The
wrong.
solar panel where I made no energy
dark.
mistake. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with just 1 tank. My goal now was to get that missing blueprint for the multi-purpose room. While I couldn't get the scan on the floating island, there was another location where I could. I'm talking about the abandoned base in the Jellyshroom cave. Now you can't use solar power down there. A mini base in the cave will need a bioreactor inside a multi-purpose room. So the plan is to enter the cave, scan the multi-purpose room, then immediately use that blueprint to build the base. It was a little risky, but with the ultra-high capacity O2 tank, I was pretty sure I could pull it off. Now if you've been to the Jellyshroom cave before, you know it has a danger. Dramatization may not have actually happened in this run. We really wanted to avoid it happening because if I took damage, I couldn't just swim back to the Seamoth and eat some salted peeper to begin healing. Ow! I'm not even there yet and I'm getting chewed apart by stalkers. There's an entrance to the Jellyshroom cave just above the abandoned base, but to use it, you have to dip into the zone made radioactive by the Aurora. It's only while descending through this entry though. The rest of the cave is radiation free. Ow! 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 Oh! Okay, we're fine. I descend to the abandoned base and start scanning the multi-purpose room. So far there are no crab snakes in sight. The multi-purpose room takes a while to scan. I'm glad I stopped at some bubble coral before diving down here.
New blueprint acquired.
I moved to a slightly more central location to build. I can see some crab snakes from here, but they're still off in the distance. For now. Wait, why can't I build the hatch? Is my body in the way? Did I forget one of the materials? No, I guess it was just intersecting the slope at the back of the base. The most efficient way to fuel a bioreactor is with fish, but we can't do that in this run, so I need to take a sample of a Jellyshroom.
Warning, emergency power only. Oxygen production offline. A reliable power source is a critical step towards self-sufficiency.
And we're set! Aside from all the stuff outside that wants to kill us, we are now perfectly safe.
All primary systems online.
We deck out our new base with a fabricator, a battery charger, a locker, and most importantly of all, say it with me, a beacon. We then start our exploration of the cave, getting some scans and working our way towards the abandoned base that brought us here. The abandoned PDAs in and around the base tell the story of the 3 survivors of the Degasi, a ship that crashed on this planet several years ago. This is actually the second base that they established. The first was on that floating island that we couldn't visit. I don't know if the devs intended this, but to me, each of the survivors represents an aspect of the survival game genre. The cautious Paul Torgal focused on safety and the accumulation of wealth, represents base building.
There's enough lithium there to fabricate 100 tons of plasteel. Enough for a damn fleet of Cyclops submarines. If we get off this planet, they'll be talking about the Torgal share price on the other side of the Federation.
The fierce Marguerite Maida, focused on winning fights and progressing to the next area, represents combat.
When sea monsters are hunting you, you don't hide. You hunt the sea monsters. Then you build a bigger boat out of sea monster bones and you hunt bigger monsters. Keep going until there aren't any monsters left to hunt you.
And finally, the inquisitive Bart Torgal, who just wants to learn everything he can about this world, represents exploration and lore.
I've been attempting to document my findings. Father approves. He says understanding is power, that the more we know about this planet, the more we can use it to our advantage. I'm just doing it because it's fun.
I think it's telling that Bart manages to survive the longest of the three. Perhaps a clue that while this game does include some base building and a little bit of combat, it is primarily a game of exploration. After a couple trips back and forth to my mini-base, I had gotten everything I could from the Degasi ruin. It seems Maida convinced the other two to move to a third base, even deeper than this one, and we now have the signal for its location. Ow, 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 ow! Gotta watch those stingers. Thank goodness the damage from them heals quickly. I return to the mini-base for air, and then go resource gathering through the rest of the cave. I'll have to be careful out here. There could be crab snakes hiding in any of these Jellyshrooms. I've now gotten all the databank entries I'll need from this cave without getting attacked by a crab snake. Well, all databank entries except one, the scan of the crab snake itself. They're dangerous. The smart move is to come back when I have a stasis rifle so I can scan one safely. But I'm not very smart. Let's go scan one. Whoa, the snake misses us by an inch. Maybe we should try to find one that's already out of its Jellyshroom. The plan is to wait for this snake to come out, then try to sneak up behind it. Hopefully, I can get most of the scan done before it notices me. This one does have a lot of small fish around to distract it. Easy, easy. And we got it. We're out of here. Hoo-hoo! Loaded with resources and blueprints, we return triumphantly to Why So Hard. Apparently because I'm a freaking masochist, that's why so hard.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
When we get inside, there's a new radio message waiting for us.
Aurora, we're approaching the planet now. We have a landing site for you that's... well, it's better than the alternatives. We've sent you the coordinates.
Oh, this is the one we've been waiting for. Not only is help on the way, but we now have a signal for the Mountain Island region in the north. And we are going to be visiting that region in the next episode. I want to extend a huge thank you to all of you for the amazing reception this series has gotten. It's more than I dared hope for, and I am so grateful. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope to see you back for part 3 of the Subnautica Ultimate Challenge.